share this on. Copy the link. Go to the Discord. Okay, am I back on Discord? I know I just connected on
Yeah, I hear you.
things. Okay. And my mouse feels just messed up. I already need a new mouse.
Like it feels weird in your hand, or like it's not working.
It just doesn't work. Yeah, it's hey refugee, welcome. Hey, what's up, Bex? You should be sleeping. Yes, you should be. You definitely should be. But is this your first time on the YouTube stream? I think it is. Bada bing, bada boom. Now you have been knighted. I knight thee. Ref UG. Make mod. It's already happened. It's already happened. You don't even realize it. That's you with the hydrate.
Look at you. You got a little wrench next to your name now.
Oh, there's that hydrate. There's that hydrate. Okay. All right. Yeah, look at you. Look at you. Let me do one more thing. And then we'll get started. Oh my gosh, there's no way. How long is this? I'll just play this instead, and then I'll play. That's 20 minutes. How long is this?
You looking at Spotify?
Oh, okay, never mind. It's not. No, I'm looking at like James Bond trailers. There was one that was just like it said all the James Bond trailers. And I was like, there's no way.
That's like a day long, right?
Yeah, right? That's what I was saying. I was like, there's no way you got all the James Bond trailers.
That's like that's definitely a solid hour.
It's a good time.
Change.
I'll tell you that much.
How many are there now? It's like between 20 and 30.
There's so many of them. There's so freaking many of them. Let's see. I need to do this. Okay. I'm almost there, guys. I'm almost there. You got to catch up in New World. Bro, I told you guys when I was getting into that game, there's no way I'm going to play as much as Fabernator. There's just no way. There's too many games. There's too much stuff that I do. That's why I don't play MMOs on stream. MMOs are a second job. There's no way I can keep. I'll play as much as I can. I'll try. I'll get to endgame for sure so we can do PvP and stuff like that. I'll catch up. Just watch. You'll be amazed at how amazing I am. Okay, so we're gonna put that there. Yeah, that's okay. I'll help you. That's my man. That's my man. Okay, now I have to. This is the last thing, and then the show's gonna start. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna hit start recording. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into this bad boy. You can like see the reflection of like what I'm looking at on the screen. That's just
I know, it looks like you have Google Glass or something.
Okay, there's the hydrates. I'm actually gonna move these. I'm gonna have these switch places because the YouTube chat is actually faster than the OBS chat for me. When I get my character transfer, I'll probably be the farthest along out of the group. We'll see about that. Challenge accepted. I'm going to get ahead of all of you guys. I'm going to eat those words later on. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here. Hello, fellow heroes, and welcome to the Digital Round Table. I'm your host, Mario, and with me is my co-host, Jeff.
Hi.
And we are here to talk about all things geek, pop, culture, things that we love, mostly movies. Sit in, tune in. We got people in chat already. If you want to catch us live, feel free to drop in on YouTube at Digital Hero 101. Go down into the Digital Roundtable playlist. Give us a subscribe. Talk to us in the comments. Tell us what you think about that thing. But you can always catch us live at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. You can do like what Refugee's doing right now, giving us a lurk, going to sleep to the sweet sounds of me and Jeff, because it's what we do. We just lull people to sleep. Hold on. No, we're not boring, but
Hey, some people need that though.
You're
That is a
right.
viable market.
I'll
You
take
know.
it. I'll take it.
I don't
And
care how people listen to us. Just listen to us. Doesn't matter what reason.
that's fair. I like that. And Mario, yeah, but what if I don't want to use YouTube? What if I want to listen to you and put you in my pocket? Well, that's a fantastic question, Mario. Matter of fact, we're also on your podcast service of choice. So if you want to listen to us on your commute to work, if you want to listen to us on a jog, you want to listen to us while you're doing dishes, if you want to hear my voice twice,
Sorry. I was pulling up the stream on my phone because I'm going to send it to some friends who were asking about it.
oh, sweet. Yeah, there you go. Tell your friends. Word of
I
mouth.
need to
Love
copy
it.
the link.
We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, so give us a listen in. We're actually I need to check on the statistics on that, but funny thing is, we didn't do last week, so I apologize. That's on me. I was tired. I needed a lazy Sunday. I needed a day off, and I took advantage of that. So I'm sorry about that, Jeff. Thank you for being so cool about it. But we're back now. We're back stronger than ever. I have the wrong banner on my thing. It's not showing the viewers up there, so I gotta fix that. I gotta fix this whole iteration. It's all messed up between Twitch and YouTube, and it's just gotta get fixed. But we've been hitting those growing pains pretty good. We've been hitting those growing. My viewers still figure out a way to get me to hydrate. Now they just put a bunch of pictures of water on the screen. So I take those hydrates with them. I'm gonna start just like drinking like whiskey while we're doing this, Jeff. Or something.
Oh, Mario.
Jeff's like, I've already been doing that, buddy.
Why do you think I'm so charismatic and energetic? It depends. Like sometimes I don't, but like the ones where I get really excited, like if you go back and listen to the Malignant one, it's very obvious.
It's very good. He's just
Like, no, you
slurring.
don't understand. This is my shit. I need to get in the right headspace for this, man. I need to get loosened up.
Love that. Freaking love that. No, so yeah, Jeff was as you know, if you're new to the show, we have a brand. Yeah. It's called pulling it out between our cheeks. Now we love to improvise on this show. Jeff was so much so that Jeff, right before I hit record, he's like, "Wait, what are we talking about today?" About 2 weeks ago, and I don't blame him because it's been 2 weeks. I brought up I wanted to. It's something that me and you have kind of discussed before, Jeff, but I want to take it a step further, and so I'm gonna make it. It's gonna sound like I'm contradicting myself, but at the same time, Like, I think you'll understand. So, I want to talk about recently, this past weekend, I saw James Bond, or 007 James, No Time to Die. And now there's this whole talk about, who's going to be the next 007, who's going to be the next James Bond. And they're not even going to start doing casting or stuff like that till 2022, if what I read was correct and stuff. And it brings up the question. So in this new film, it's been advertised that in the trailers and stuff like that, this is as much as spoilers because they spoiled it for themselves in the trailers, is, there was a replacement Bond, or there was a replacement 007, who was a black female, and then that kind of goes into depth with who's going to be playing, are they going to hire an ethnic person to play the next Bond, or is it going to be a female next time? What are they going to do? And how people get upset. Basically, are they going to hire anything but a white, male, a white guy? But this isn't the only thing. Me and you, when we originally spoke about this, we spoke about Superman because who was it? Was it Amazon? Someone, DC. They're doing a movie.
It's it's J.J. Abrams, I believe, is involved somehow.
Oh boy. Look, J.J. Abrams movies. I think what bothers me the most about J.J. Abrams movies, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit biased because I've only seen some of the things. Hold on, I'll get into that. You'll hear what I have to say about J.J. Abrams here in a second. But that's the topic essentially. Is what the first time we talked about this, we talked about like the philosophical reasons why, and we can touch back on that again, or the moral reasons on it. But this time, I want to talk I want to tell you how I feel, and I want to hear how you feel about the actors. Also, chat as well. Like, we love to hear your feedback. We love to converse with you if you're listening to us live. Like your opinion on like how that affects the actor, because my eyes were kind of open when Daniel Craig, because they asked Daniel Craig, they're like, how would you feel if a woman or a black person were to pick up the role of James Bond? Or I think specifically the question was like a woman. And Daniel Craig, he said they would be doing the actor or actress a disservice. Yeah. It would be a disservice to the actress because there's going to be people that immediately hate that person. And
because it's not their James Bond.
Right. It's not, because James Bond is a very misogynistic character.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's kind of evolved as the times have evolved.
Yes, they've modernized him, but even the Daniel Craig ones, still I really like the first one, Casino Royale, and the last one. And let's see, chat, they're saying, I bet they're gonna have some like Scarlett Johansson play as a black male James Bond. Oh my gosh, Hollywood, nothing makes sense.
I mean, Scarlett Johansson did have that whole thing where she's like, I should be able to play anything I want. I'm an actress. I can play a tree.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been plenty of times. What was it in Hairspray? Who was it that played as the mom?
John Travolta, but that is also like a thing in Hairspray. Like inherently, it's played by a drag queen kind of character.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Still, yeah, you're right. It's here's an example of a man playing a woman.
Right. And no one really. I didn't know that was a tradition in Hairspray. I learned so. That was my first like trying to defend Scarlett Johansson, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So. Yeah, and that's my opinion. Now that the topic's on hand, when we first originally spoke about this, you and Miguel talked about Zail Zod and how, and you're basically saying the same thing that kind of like what Daniel Craig was saying, but I was looking at it differently, right? So like the way I was looking at it before was the people who are upset that Kal-El, Clark Kent, Superman, is black. They have no reason to be upset with him. Like if they tell the same story, but make him If they tell the same story as if he was white but make him black instead, then but they wouldn't be upset because he was white. I'm saying this in a very convoluted way. If Black Superman would have had the same story as White Superman, but the only reason you're upset is because he's black, you have no reason to be upset. Like, no one should care, right? That's
Right.
That's the way I saw it before. But now the way I'm looking at it is like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, whoever decides to fill in those shoes, even if they go into there, because this was another sentiment that I kind of had, was if you go into it knowing you're gonna get trashed on, like a boxer, a boxer, he puts on gloves, he knows he's gonna get into a fight. So if you go into it ready to take it on the chin, ready to take your hits, there's chances are that movie could not do good because of all the political drama it's getting, right? Oh, this whole time I'm supposed to be playing this in the background for you guys. Sorry, completely forgot. And it's supposed to be getting the drama, but so that could really hurt an actor's career. I'm sure there's plenty of actors that have had flop movies, but sometimes, especially if you're an actor that's trying to make a name for yourself, and you star in a big film and you're known as the guy who did a bad Superman movie.
Yeah.
Or you're known as the guy where, they had to reboot James Bond. Like, look at Andrew Garfield, right? Like, Andrew Garfield's a talented actor.
And he's kind of a punching bag in our in like the nerd community.
He really is. And
But
it's like
he's very heralded elsewhere. But when it comes
Yep.
to like superhero and comic book fans, he's like the guy that shit all over the franchise. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't want to point to the director and say, no, it wasn't Andrew's fault, it was the director. Like, it's a lot of people. It takes a lot of people to make a movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't just point at the one guy. But again, that's the nature of the beast. As Refugee points out, Hollywood, nothing makes sense.
It
like,
doesn't.
everybody points to the actors as if they are solely responsible for the outcome of a film.
Exactly. And what bothers me even more is forgive me, Jeff, this is why I love you. Was it Star Wars Last Jedi with Amy Tran? What was her name?
The woman that played Rose?
Yeah, the
Is
woman
where
that
you're
played
going with
Rose.
this? I don't remember her name. Because
Let me-
I'm not the Star Wars person here.
Bro, let's see.
Podcast listeners are going to love this part. We both just pull up IMDb.
We're just
simultaneously.
Kelly Marie Tran. Jeez. Okay, I didn't even realize that she was in Raya, The Last Dragon. But Kelly Marie Tran, she's a good example of an actress who didn't know what she was getting herself into, right? Like, you're going to play Star Wars. And but people want this to be like a good thing. Like, people want you don't know, how do I say this? When I say you don't know what you're getting yourself into, yes, you're going to play Star Wars. Yes, there's going to be people that don't like it, but it's not like you're going to play as a black Luke Skywalker, right? Like, it's not like you're not. She wasn't prepared for that, and people hated her character, and she didn't even do anything wrong. It wasn't like people hated her for her bad acting, or people hated her because she off, whenever she was doing press tours and stuff like that, she talked bad about Star Wars. No, they just hated. They didn't like Rose the character and the actions that Rose the character did, and they took it out on Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah.
And it's like that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that's so stupid?
It's a thing where, like, them being angry at her doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But the fact that they are angry at her makes sense to me.
So,
because people are just fucking like that. And it's dumb. It's freaking dumb. It's funny that you bring, like, that we're talking about this topic. I was literally talking to TJ about this at work. Shit, I can't remember what we were initially talking about. But it led to, like, one of my favorite examples of like basically people just aren't aware of how acting works and how like I'm not saying that every person who likes movies needs to know, hey, here's how you frame a shot and the editor does this and here's what the key grip and the best boy electric. Like, you don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
But you need to at least be able to separate art from life, fact from fiction. And
That's
one of my
so
favorite
true.
examples of this is when Kristen Stewart was in the thick of all the Twilight movies. Somewhere in there, she did this movie called The Runaways, which was a biopic about the band The Runaways, and she played Joan Jett. And Joan Jett has this very like streak black, like chopped up kind of like punky hairdo and everything. So she like changed her hair. And Twilight fans crucified her online, sent her death threats because Bella doesn't look like that.
Oh my
And they
gosh.
were livid. And it's just I think I always think about that when this topic comes up in conversation, because that's the first time I really got a sense of how batshit people can be about this. Where I was like, oh my god, like they hate her. All she did was like oh my god, and it clicked. I was like, they don't realize that she's a real person. Like, they literally look at her and only see the character. I mean, they know that she's a real person.
Right.
Obviously. They know that she's an actress. But it's like, if you're gonna play Bella Swan, you're gonna do what we want you to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, bro, and again, like you look at the landscape right now, nobody's fucking talking about Twilight. Nobody's talking about Hunger Games. Nobody's talking about Divergent. Like, those movies happened and we moved on. Now the MCU is happening and now people are talking shit about that. So it's just, it's just mind-boggling to me that these people they just don't get it.
That's very. And here's another example. Like, we're gonna go ahead and beat a dead horse since we're at it. Freaking Star Wars. So Kelly Marie Tran was one of them. But then, what's his name? Jake Lloyd? In Phantom Menace? Poor kid.
Yeah.
He's just a 9-year-old kid, like, doing what he doesn't even know. Like, he may... So, actually, last night, it just showed up on my, like, YouTube feed. I saw this, it's like this small documentary about one of the kid actors who didn't get to play as Anakin for Phantom Menace. And
fascinating.
And it was real interesting. Like, I kind of fell in love with it. And it taught me something, but even he, filling in the shoes as Darth Vader, like, he as a kid up to 9 years old, he was explaining how much, like, he already loved Star Wars as a kid. Mm-hmm. And what it meant to his dad and his mom and what it meant to his family, and like how this meant something to him, and it crushed him that he didn't get Anakin. And Jake Lloyd did what he did, right? And I don't blame the kid for the stuff. And George Lucas even states in a documentary that, like, hey, I just felt something about this guy. But the other kid, like, he had this sort of like darkness to him. He had like this dark tone because I think you see documentaries, and I think like Jake Lloyd knew of Star Wars, but he didn't really understand Star Wars. And he's a kid. You don't need to expect him to know the franchise inside out. But this other kid, which, gosh, I can't even remember his name. I just watched it last night. He was very much like understood it, and like he understood that Anakin was going to become Darth Vader. And so when he was acting, and he actually had like experience in acting, like his brother was in his brother was in not Full House, the other one with, who's the guy who played as Santa Claus for so long? Tim Allen. What was Home Improvement? Yeah. His brother was in Home Improvement, and he was in commercials.
He's in one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time, Mario. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger's son in Jingle All the Way.
Was he really?
Yeah. We're still talking about Jake Lloyd, right?
Dang, I didn't know Jake Lloyd was...
Yeah, he's the guy on the phone who's like, you never keep your promises, ever! And Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I'm sorry.
I've actually... I love that. I've actually never seen that film, so I... But
okay, it's a guilty pleasure.
No, that's great. Arnold Schwarzenegger films they're all great. Yeah, I don't know how you could not like them. But this kid, he's got acting experience, right? He's done the works, and but he put this sort of dark tone to it. But people, even though he wasn't in the film, Star Wars fans saw the documentary and they were like, "Oh, you were that kid that was in Star Wars." And he would have to tell people like, "No, I wasn't in Star Wars." So like, "Well, yeah, we know you, but you were in the thing. You were the one that didn't get picked." And like, he got reminded of that for a long time in his life, like constantly. And it made him, it was like the breaking point for him as an actor.
Yeah.
And so like when these people have to, when these companies or studios want to make this decision, like, hey, we're going to have a black Superman. Hey, we're going to have a female 007. I think it really hit home to me with what Daniel Craig said. Not only what Daniel Craig said, but what the director said for No Time to Die. I'm trying to remember who the director was for No Time to Die.
Cary Fukunaga.
Yes.
Who most people would probably know from season 1 of True Detective. And the guy who was going to do the It movies, but that didn't pan out.
And he said there should simply be better parts for women actors of color. Or I'm sorry, Daniel Craig said that. But and then he also said like, why should a woman play James Bond when there should be a part just as good as James Bond but for women? And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense, because they're just gonna get hate in there. And it was like, what was it? The producer. I'm sorry, it was producer Barbara Broccoli said that, I believe we should create new characters for women, strong female characters. I'm not particularly interested in taking a male character and having a woman play it. I think women are far more interesting than that.
Yeah, and that's the part of, because when we were talking about doing this, you texted me that article, and that's the part that really stands out to me as interesting, because kind of hand in hand with what we're talking about with Black Superman. So I don't know where it is right now, but I do know that Warner Brothers is in development on a Static Shock movie. Which I think we might have talked about at some point. Maybe we talked about it on that episode. But and I was wondering, like, when you texted me this article and I was thinking about that, I was like, yeah, this kind of reminds me of when Mario and I were talking about the whole Black Superman thing. And I was like, man, that's kind of odd that it's like, oh yeah, well, we want to be more inclusive and we want to, show people of color. So yeah, let's do the Black Superman thing. And I was kind of thinking like, well, wait, this would be like a perfect opportunity to like do Static Shock. Like, yeah. Because that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, don't just take a character who, I mean, obviously, like we talked about, like Superman can be whatever. He's a fucking alien. Doesn't matter what he looks like.
Right.
But let's take a character who is typically a white dude and make him a black person. How about instead of that, we showcase this other character who is canonically of color, who is a black male. And literally, as we've been talking, I'm kind of wondering if Warner Brothers is using Black Superman as like a test run for Static Shock. Oh. Meaning Static Shock is not that well known of a character. We don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. Like we want to do this thing where we showcase a black superhero, but let's do it first with Superman, because everybody knows Superman. We all know that everybody's going to go see a Superman movie. And then once that movie hits really big at the box office, we can go, oh, okay, now the narrative that we can spin in the press is, black superheroes are like this like big deal. So that'll motivate people to then go see Static Shock, because we can be like, look, see, you like Black Superman, right? Look over here.
Here's another black person. Also,
as I'm saying that, I'm like, but fucking Black Panther, like.
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing, though. Like, I think Disney is the exception, not the rule, right? Because I was thinking the same. I was like, Guardians of the Galaxy, and now they're doing Eternals, and now they're doing like they have so many superheroes that are just not well known,
right?
But are succeeding. But I think that Disney had already set up a look at our Marvel movies. Our Marvel movies make blockbuster stuff, and
Marvel is kind of the star.
Right. You're going
name, those white letters in that red rectangle.
Exactly.
That's what
you're some people literally, and I'm pretty sure it's a small percent, but some people probably just went to go see Stan Lee cameo. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So like I don't think Warner Brothers has that yet. I do think they're very close. I think especially recently with the Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey, like it's hard for me to say that Warner Brothers makes bad superhero movies anymore besides Wonder Woman 1984 because that one was just bad. Like I can't defend that film. But like Birds of Prey, I like that film. Not just because not because of Black Mask. Who played Black Mask? I want to say Obi-Wan Kenobi played back.
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor played him. Not because he was in there. No, like I think they wrote Harley Quinn just so much better in that film than they did in Suicide Squad, and then that carried over to the Suicide Squad whenever they did that. So I think you're onto something because that's something that I feel like studios would do beforehand. You know. Like they don't jump into things, and if you watch these documentaries and you watch these behind the scenes stuff, they do talk about, like, the producer and director will talk about, like, oh yeah, we don't know how the audience is going to feel about this, so this character was actually like a test character for us to see if we can do our spin-off. And because like for example, there's The Office, right? I know this is kind of like left field, but bear with me. The Office. For those of you who have watched it, there's an episode where Dwight, one of the main characters in the show, we actually go to his farm, and he's known to be like a farmer, rancher kind of guy. He's a very rural country dude, but he's just really weird and nerdy. And that whole episode has to deal with his family and like the weirdness of his family, and they introduce a bunch of new characters in that episode. And it's only that episode where they kind of like that episode's really unique in that way. And the reason for that is that episode was technically a test. It was testing the audience reaction. It was technically a pilot for a spin-off series for Dwight, for that character in the show. So like it's not abnormal for studios to do this. It's just how many times have they told us they've done it is the thing. So I do like that. But yeah, when I first spoke to you and Miguel about this topic, it was very much to the likeness of, like, I did not understand why people are upset. And, like, you guys are saying what, the producer, Barbara Broccoli, is saying, right? You guys were saying the same thing. And I think at the time I was addressing something else, right? I think at the time I was more upset or uncomfortable with the idea that people are upset that a black person could play Superman, right? Like, there should be no reason. And that was where I was coming from, is a black person shouldn't. But I do think for representation purposes, I have to fully agree with you. And I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I think you get what I'm saying.
No, not at all.
Like, I do agree with you. I think, like, it would just be better if they brought Miles Morales. Just like how Sony... I said better if they brought Miles Morales. See, I was thinking of something while trying to talk about something else. It'd be better if Warner Brothers brought out Static Shock rather than Black Superman, in my opinion, and in your opinion, I think, as well. Just like how Sony did Miles Morales. Instead of making Peter Parker black, they were just like, hey, I said Sony did it, but Marvel did it first. But Sony could have, Warner Brothers has Zale Zod, and they're not using him. So...
Right.
That's the comparison I'm trying to make right now for those of you who are like, oh no, Sony didn't come up with that idea. Like, I know. There's, because Miles Morales does do a good job representing two communities, actually. However, he doesn't do a good job representing what it's like to be a biracial person, in my opinion. With that, like, and I watched this thing, Jubilee?
Yes.
So I've seen some of their stuff, and like one of the things that really helped me out was listening to like biracial people talk, and something that's kind of popular is like people you know, a lot of people looking from the outside in think that you are loved and accepted by everyone because you're biracial, but it's kind of the opposite. It's like everyone, like I'm black and Mexican, right? All the Mexicans see me as a black person, and all the black people see me as a Mexican, right? I don't get but if I do something wrong, like if I say something wrong, then I'm one of them, right? Like I'm one of them when they want to get mad at me, but I'm not one of them when I want to say that I'm one of them. You know what I mean? So it's like I can't. So I really I think like with Miles Morales, they even made him really look black. They didn't really make him look biracial either. Like if you're really gonna lean into that, that's what I do. But that's me going on a tangent. That's me getting off topic. That's a discussion for another time. So
here's why Miles Morales is a shitty character.
Yeah, here's why. I love Miles Morales. I still love him. But
he's just too black for you, is what you're saying.
No, he's
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Fuck, man. I was like, shit. Like, how I gotta? I'm like, my brain's immediately just like, choose your words wisely, Mario. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think, Jeff? Do you think that they should? Do you think that they should just like create a different, like if they're gonna hire, or if they're gonna, let's say they cast Idris Elba, or if they cast, I would love to see John Boyega as Bond, right? Let's say they cast John Boyega or something like that as Bond. Would it be something like, do you think like that transition to 007 for a character like James Bond doesn't matter as much as like a transition from like Static Shock to a Black Superman?
But, well, because I'm doing that thing where one half of my brain wants to just speak my own personal opinion, and the other half of my brain wants to hypothesize what the studio and the executives and the producers are in a position of.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I think they should do this, but you have to understand that the industry works this way, and here's how the fans will react, and blah, blah, blah. So my honest opinion is, I mean, it's going to be very anticlimactic. I don't care because kind of going back to the Superman episode itself is like, if it's Idris Elba, great. If it's Michael B. Jordan, great. If it's freaking Oscar Isaac, cool. You know, like maybe he's Latin. I don't fucking know. If it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, that might be fun. Sure. But I do agree that the thing that I'm kind of stuck on is that quote from the producer of there just need to be more strong female roles. And that is something I am much more a fan of. Looking at Batman, for example, the Batman specifically, the Robert Pattinson one. When that movie was announced, I couldn't have given less of a shit. I was just like, okay, like we're doing this again. Oh, it's Bruce Wayne. Oh my God, look! And Catwoman's here, and the Penguin's. It's just like I get it. It's fine. It's Batman. Like, I'm sorry, there's nothing new that you can tell me about Batman. I am not interested. And obviously, like, now that I've seen the footage and it looks like a fucking David Fincher movie, I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. I want to go see this movie. But again, it's like, yeah, show me a superhero movie with Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell, and Paul Dano. That's something I've never heard of. That reminds me, like, well, it's kind of like Batman, you know, or something. Like that's the thing that interests me is, like, again, I can't remember if we talked about this specifically on our trailer breakdown episode when we were talking about Matrix Resurrections, But like, I remember seeing the trailer for The Matrix for the first time. Like just being in, I don't even remember what movie I was going to see, but it's like it's Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne. They're dressed in leather jackets, wearing sunglasses. They're shooting machine guns. He's in a helicopter. There's like some spaceship flying around somewhere, and then it just says The Matrix, April 4th or whatever the date. And I was like, what the fuck was that? What is this movie? I don't know what this movie is. Another one, like going back to J.J. Abrams, is Cloverfield. Like, dude, it's a bunch of like handy cam, like shaky cam footage of people at like a going away party. They're like, "Hey, Josh, hope you have fun at your new job when you move away." Blah 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 blah. And then suddenly there's an explosion, and outside, and everybody's like, "What was that?" And then they run out into the street, and the head of the Statue of Liberty falls from the sky and lands in the street. And then it's just a release date. We didn't even they didn't even tell you the title of the movie. That first trailer. And I was like, what is this? I want to go see 1/18/05 because that was the name of the movie as far as I'm concerned. That was the release date, 1/18/05 or whatever the actual date was.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that I'm looking for is, and this, you know, on slight tangent, this is something that I do enjoy a lot about J.J. Abrams is that he's, you know, when he does his original stuff, he's trying to preserve that notion of you walk into a theater and you just see something that you have no knowledge about. And to me, that's very exciting because it also has to do with expectations. Like, if you show me, okay, here comes Idris Elba, he's playing James Bond, I'm like, that's cool. It's just gonna be, it's a reskin, essentially. It's like, yeah, it's going to be the same movie. Like, okay, yeah, he might bring like a different energy to it. Like if you have a black person or a Latin person, or if you have a woman in the role or whatever, yeah, the energy will be different. It's still a spy going to foreign countries and globetrotting and machine guns and car chases and all this stuff. And not to say that if you have car chases and machine guns, the movie is automatically lame and predictable. Like that happens in a lot of movies. But it's different when you go see another James Bond movie or another Batman movie versus here's a movie that I've never heard of that just happens to have all the same stuff in it.
Okay, can I like what you're saying. No, you're bringing up one, a huge flaw in Hollywood that we've talked about before, but two, can I make kind of like an example for the audience to show like of what you're saying?
Yes. Okay,
so let's imagine, and the second I say this, you're gonna know where I'm going with this. Let's imagine Kingsman doesn't exist, and let's take like, okay, this is Daniel Craig's last film, No Time to Die, and now they're gonna make the next James Bond film eventually, right? Or maybe this is the last James Bond film ever. But before they do that, they put out this new movie that's called Kingsman, but instead of who freaking plays
Colin Firth.
Which I love the guy. The guy's an amazing actor. Yeah. I think he fits the role of Eggsy like great. But instead it's like John Boyega, or it's like Idris Elba, right? Or I'm gonna say John Boyega because, you know, it's a young face and he kind of has the same energy. Mm-hmm. But it's John Boyega. But it's like it's a spy movie, but it's a different type of spy movie, and it's featuring a black young man that portrays the thing. Like that's I think that's the best. Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's what you're saying. And
it's just to correct myself, Taron Egerton is the younger guy. Colin Firth is the older guy that trains.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Trains the guy.
Thank you for that.
Egerton. When you were like John Boyega, I was like, wait a minute. Oh fuck, he's talking about the younger guy. Okay, yeah.
Taron Egerton, who also played as
Elton John.
Elton John, yes.
In Rocket Man.
He did a good job doing that as well. I think the guy's a great actor. But that's what you're saying, and I think like, yes, please. I that's what's opened my eyes, right? That's when I read this article, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're right, because that solves two problems. Okay, that solves the sequel Armageddon that we're in right now in Hollywood, and it satisfies people because it's giving representation, right? And it's like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I would love to see exactly what you're saying. I would love to see a Black James Bond, or I'm gonna use a different example. I felt the exact same way whenever Robert Pattinson was gonna play the new Batman film, the exact same way you did. And then I saw the trailer, and then I learned about it. Now I'm like super hyped, and I can't wait for it to come out. But I was like, another Batman film? Like, you know, we still haven't even gotten a freaking, you know, like anything else.
Right.
I'm gonna put a twist on it though. So imagine, let's say they make like a Nightwing film, but they have a Mexican person playing it instead of a white person. You know?
Yeah.
So they're taking the character from a comic books. It's a new story. It's Nightwing, new character, but then they put, you know, they do the rest of it. And that's kind of what they've been doing recently. Like, they did that in Invincible. They did that in Titans. They made I know Titans probably isn't the best example, but I hear it looks like it's a love project. They have a Starfire playing as they have a black person playing Starfire.
Okay.
But I hear the first like season. I think the second season were just horrible. But they're doing that, and I think that's okay. Like, I think, like, especially if the source material hasn't been seen yet, I think that's, if not better, because they're getting the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
But I think you put it in the best way possible, Jeff. Like, I have to agree with you, because, like, who cares? We've heard James Bond's story, we've heard Batman's story. Like, I'm just gonna get I'm exaggerating when I say this, but I'm essentially getting a washed up character and putting a new skin on it.
Exactly. And I think that there's something to be said about, like, James Bond is James Bond. But I also think that to me is why I'm more interested in just showing new characters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that James Bond has to be a straight white British male.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe that's his thing. And I think that is kind of the answer that a lot of people are looking for, is not just, no, we're not saying you need to change what you already have. Keep what you already have. Just make room for more new stuff.
Yeah. Stop.
That is more inclusive and representative of our culture.
Yeah. And I think Hollywood needs to get back in the habit of taking risk again.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the reason why we're in this position now, is like you want to play it safe. Mm-hmm. Like, people are scared to take risks because it's a lot of money to make these types of movies.
And so I'm going to play devil's advocate for a little bit. You could say, so like the Star Wars sequel films, you could say they took a risk. I would disagree. I would disagree that they took a risk, but you could say that they took a risk, right, by having female lead, new characters, the whole cast essentially like ethnicized. Is that a word? I don't even know if that's a word.
It sounds dangerously close to euthanized, which scares me. We ethnified it.
Ethnified it. We effed it.
I don't think there's a real word for ethnicity as a verb.
Then like, you have people that are upset about the sequel films, and I think the biggest problem about the sequel films is, so I watched this video essay And it was I think this guy that I talked about before, Ryan Airy. The guy's freaking awesome. Check out his videos. It's like on Screen Crush or Screen Rant. I think it's.
Is he the guy that does Pitch Meeting?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's a different dude. I think he's on Screen Crush, but he did a video essay recently talking about Star Wars and talking about like this is why I don't think Star Wars took a risk. Like, it looks like they took a risk, and this is what I don't. Maybe I'm not being a devil's advocate, but it looks like they took a risk by putting a bunch of people in a bunch of significant roles, quotation marks around that for podcast listeners, and having like saying like, oh, look at what we did, we made this story and stuff like that. However, the writers for Star Wars were very nostalgic, and what the video essay essentially explained was it compared Star Wars to Cobra Kai, and they're both doing the same thing but differently. So like Cobra Kai, the characters are nostalgic, and because the characters are nostalgic, it affects the plot of the movie. With the Star Wars sequels trilogy, the plot is nostalgic. And because the plot and the story is nostalgic, the characters don't fit. So, like, the best way I can show this is, so in Cobra Kai, you have the son of, who's the main character in Karate Kid? Daniel, yeah. You have
Rock Disney.
Right. Yes. You have the son of Daniel, who is
Daniel's son. That's funny.
Is that the? Okay.
I mean, come on, that has to be.
It has to be. I didn't even That's hilarious. Who's a nerd, who doesn't really know how to fight, and gets picked on. He gets beat up multiple times in the first season. And then he runs into the rival, the guy that was in Cobra Kai. Who's that character? What's that character's name?
I have no idea. I'll pull it up because I didn't quite follow Karate Kid.
Neither did I. I've actually only seen the Jackie
sweep
Chan
the
one.
leg and put him in a body bag and all that stuff, but yeah.
Where is?
Oh God, this is not arranged in any.
Johnny Lawrence. So Johnny, the antagonist in the first film, he's he's kind of a washed up dude. Like, he's kind of a loser, but he ends up kind of like how the Jackie Chan saves I forget Will Smith's son.
Jane.
In the film, like, he saves him from the bullies. Johnny Lawrence does the same thing for Daniel's son, and goes in, saves him, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, how'd you do that? Teach me karate, like, you're awesome. And so Johnny's like, the reluctant teacher, but then initially teaches him karate, and like Daniel's son, who is, I don't even know which one. I want to say is Robbie. It might be Robbie. I'm going to keep calling him Daniel's son for the joke. But oh wait, it's going to be the person who has the same last name. So it's Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah, but he doesn't on IMDb.
What the heck?
There's 2 female cast members with LaRusso characters.
Interesting. He might not be Daniel's son then. He might just be. I haven't watched the show, so I might just be wrong. I thought he was Daniel's son.
I thought you had watched the show.
No, I have not watched the show.
You're doing that thing that I do where you're going based off of YouTube videos that you've watched.
Yeah.
But you sounded so convincing.
Oh, yeah, I'm good at that. We're gonna continue calling him Daniel's son, though. So then Daniel's son wants to learn from Johnny, but he falls in love with the persona of Johnny. That Johnny is this, this badass dude that doesn't take no for an answer, that can defend himself and that can kick ass and that, like, knows who he is, and he's this super cool dude. In reality, like, that's how he wants to portray himself to the world, but he's kind of a drunk. He's a loser. He's failing and stuff like that. But that's not what he sees, right? He sees his hero. And so Johnny starts teaching Daniel-san karate, but he's teaching him the Cobra Kai karate, which is, strike first. Don't ever give your opponent the opportunity to attack. Like, be aggressive. Be aggressive. And this all accumulates in the scene where one of the main character, Ralph Macchio's Daniel's daughters, is getting picked on by the bullies that keep on picking on Daniel-san, and he wants to go defend her, and she's about to defend herself. And so what happens is he goes and he beats up the bullies. And everyone regards him as a hero. All his friends, he gets his friends in on Cobra Kai, and they're like, "Yeah, you beat up the bullies. You beat up the school bullies. You did it." However, what Ryan Arian says is that Daniel-san is actually in the wrong because he initiated the violence. Whereas we see in the original Karate Kid film, Daniel is taught violence should be the last resort. Violence should, never be the answer to your problems. Right?
Yeah.
And Johnny has taught this kid that, hey, I taught you how to fight, but use it. And so, yes, the show portrays this as, oh, you did something good. You are now powerful. So then Daniel-san becomes kind of it starts becoming his persona. He actually kind of gets with Amanda or Samantha, one of the characters, and but then he takes his attitude, he takes his newfound power too far. And you see as this innocent kid starts to become more and more villainous. But all he wanted to do was protect himself and want to do the right thing. And it's a freaking awesome, transition. And it's done well. Star Wars fails at this. Star Wars says, hey, look at what we did. We did good, right? Look at us. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. They should have done that for Kylo Ren. The problem is we start in the middle of the story. And we're not starting, because in A New Hope, we're at the precipice of change. In the prequel series, we're at the precipice of change. In the sequel movies, you could argue that we're in the middle of change, but we just got, apparently when the movies start, we just got done with change. Change had just happened, and we're trying to figure out, okay, so Han Solo's not with Leia anymore, and this girl is doing this, and there's this new order, but we don't know where they came from, and there's a republic. So the Republic just exists? Oh no, the Republic doesn't exist anymore because he just blew up 3 planets. So there was a Republic, but now there's an Empire. Now they're rebels? I thought they were the Resistance. But now they're rebels. And now wait. This First Order is now in charge, and now they rule the galaxy? And then now there's the Sith? Hold up. Okay. Now it's But the whole while they're saying, hey, look, we got a girl Jedi that's a main character. Hey, look, we got a black guy holding a lightsaber. Hey, look, we have a Latino who can fly an airship. And then in the third film, they make the Latino steal cars and stuff like that. I'm not even going to get into that, but then the nostalgia of the Star Wars films is through the plot. They do the same story beats. Last Jedi can be compared to Empire. And Force Awakens can be compared to A New Hope, right? And then Rise of Skywalker is just a response to Last Jedi. They're not. And because of that, we know nothing about Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is just a siphon for people's emotions. He's just someone that everyone can be mad at or feel sorry for. And so this turned into a Star Wars rant. The point that I'm getting at is when studios take ethnicity and they wave it in our face, and say, look, we did a good job, right? And then still succeed, because those Star Wars, those films, I like those films. I bought those films. I watched those films, and I watched those films multiple times in the theaters. I know I complain about them a lot, but I can dislike something I love. That's how I feel about my sister.
Fair enough.
They succeeded. Look at those box office numbers. They made billions of dollars, and they kept on making those movies. They kept on making those movies in those same formulaic manners. Why? Because they kept on making money. So that's what's scary, is like whenever you want studios to do something new. You want studios to put Idris Elba as a super spy, and you want him to be in his own film and a strong character. You want Scarlett Johansson to portray a character that's freaking awesome and to her own rights. But then you risk it portraying it in the wrong way as well, and still succeeding in the monies. Because Star Wars, I want to say Star Wars succeeded because it was Star Wars, not because of the film. Like, you take that brand off of that film, I don't know if they would have succeeded.
Oh,
as well.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the thing is, Star Wars is special, but what made it really special for such a long time, pre-Force Awakens, was it happened in the late 70s, early 80s, that initial trilogy, and then it just went away for a while.
Yep.
And then the fucking prequels happened. And it was amazing. It was great. You know, like, what, maybe you didn't like the movies themselves, but fucking Star Wars was back, baby.
Right.
This is, like, so cool. And then it went away for a while. And then that's why Force Awakens was such a big deal. Like, even me, like, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I appreciate it. They're fun movies, but I'm not, like, into it, talking about it with people all the time. But Force Awakens, like, you better fucking believe that first trailer came out. I was like, did you see fucking Force Awakens trailer? Oh my god, it's outside, the Millennium Falcon and the music and
Yeah.
Like, it was exciting. And same thing with James Bond. Like, freaking Spectre was, like, in 2015. I only know that because I'm looking this up. I'm like, James Bond is the same thing. I'm not, like, hugely into James Bond. But, like, a James Bond
I was the same way, yeah.
Comes around every once in a while, you know? And I think what's interesting with the whole introduction of Marvel, and this will kind of circle back to our last discussion about the whole copy and paste nature of Marvel, with what Denis Villeneuve was saying, is the thing that makes Marvel special. And I'm not taking away from the movies themselves. Like, I fucking bawled my eyes out and got really attached to Shang-Chi. We know this. But the thing that makes Marvel special is that it is cut and paste. Like, it makes sense for that because it is one long thing. These movies should look the same. They should feel the same. They have to be, because they are interconnected. Do I wish that they would be slightly more stylized from movie to movie and TV show to TV show? Yes, I absolutely would. I would love if you could actually see the directors put their stamp on it. But that's the thing that makes it special. And I think what we kind of saw with Star Wars is that they tried to serialize it, of like, hey, look, here's Solo, which is a prequel, and then here's Rogue One, which will kind of fill in this gap, and then here's where this fits in, and it's like, okay, well, that's not cool, though.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of what I think we're saying is, like, you have to know, like, what is it about the thing that makes it special? And
right.
The problem with that, though, is exactly what you're saying, is, like, it doesn't matter if it's special. If people go to see it, we're going to keep making it.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I think it's real important. And, like, that whole spiel that I just went on, and even what Jeff is saying right now, as I'm kind of speaking to the audience at this moment, what I think, like, what's important that what we're saying is that these studios are going to make movies, and what really touched a note with me is, I'm going to say the quote again, I believe we should create new characters for women, strong female characters. I'm not particularly interested in taking a male character and having a woman play it. I think women are far more interesting than that. And like what that means is basically what we've been saying is like you put these movies have a brand on them, right? The people go to see the brand, and you put a character in that brand. You could be doing a disservice to the actress. You could be doing a disservice to the culture. But you are not doing a disservice to the studio, right? They're going to make their money. So I think it is real important that, like, if we do things like this moving forward, I think people need to not focus so much on what color James Bond is going to look like, what sex he's going to be, but more or less is, are we doing justice to... are we doing justice to the story, the overarching story, and at the same time, can we make something unique that can become as iconic as James Bond?
Yeah,
and not just can we, because we certainly can, but are we willing to? Are we willing to push that and really strive for that? And it's like, what is it that we can do? Do you think that this is a phase in Hollywood? Because what scares me, and I'm so sorry for interrupting you, my man, but like what scares me is the fact that you see this same crap going on in the video game industry as well. Like, video games are made sequels by sequels by sequels. It's like when a new game comes out, and like this is why I think indie games are becoming really popular and being funded a lot more, is because they're not so much copy and paste, and we're getting to see new unique stuff and brand new IPs.
No, exactly. The thing that I was going to say is it occurred to me, since we're talking about James Bond and the idea of creating new IP, Knives Out, dude.
That's right.
Like, Knives Out is now a franchise.
That's right.
And it's like, because as you were talking, I was trying to think, like, again, this whole notion of branding, and we have to we have to go where the money goes. If these are the movies that are making money, this is what we need to do. And I understand that, like, the reason that they need to do that, the reason that they have to put kind of all their eggs in one basket, is that movies like James Bond and superhero movies and these types of things, it's a lot of money to make them. These are big fucking movies. And I started thinking about, this is something else that we've also talked about. I started thinking about the horror genre, like what Jason Blum is doing with Blumhouse. Like, he spends $10 million or less on each movie, and the movies always make like $100 million. Now, are they making $1 billion like what freaking Marvel is doing? No, but they just made a profit of 90 million. Like, that's a free $90 million that was just given to you.
Yeah.
To then go spend another $10 million. Now you have 80 left over, and you just made $100 million on top of that. Like, it's math. And I was like, there has to be some hot, fresh, innovative filmmakers out there who know how to do action on the cheap. And I don't mean action that looks cheap, but they're able to do gunfights and explosion and cool camera stuff not because they have the money to spend on it, but it's because they know a guy who just blows shit up in his garage, and they're like, hey man, you want to come make a movie? And that guy's like, yeah. Like, and I'm just curious, like, and when I was thinking about that, it reminded me of Rian Johnson, which is like, yeah, that's kind of his style, is that he does... Like, Knives Out is not a big budget movie. It's a middle budget movie, which doesn't exist anymore. And the only reason it's a middle budget, like, it's technically a low budget movie. It's just you get those actors, they cost, a good amount of money. But also because of all the technical camera work and all the, like, slick style of it. Like, you want to make sure you have the time to get those setups and do those shots and do multiple takes and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, yeah, it can happen. Like, that was a movie that was just supposed to be a one-off. That was Rian Johnson going, like, I kind of miss whodunits and, like Agatha Christie books and murder mysteries and those types of things. And then people were like, dude, we want more of this. Like, wouldn't it be hilarious if like Daniel Craig just like was the only character that showed up? And it's interesting too that like you look at something like Murder on the Orient Express, which was an Agatha Christie novel that then got made into a movie.
That then got
and now
rebooted.
And now there's the sequel to that, Death on the Nile, which is kind of like what we're talking about. Like that's the concept of those novels, those murder mysteries, is that Daniel Poirot, the French detective, like goes and investigates all these different murders.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about Death on the Nile because even though Murder on the Orient Express made enough money to warrant doing another movie from that book series, people didn't like it. And so like when the Death on the Nile trailer came out, like the buzz on social media was just like, well, we didn't want another one of those. like it was fine, it's cute. Well, most people thought it was dumb, but yeah, sure. But no, baby, no. Go put it back. Can you get the money back and go make something else? But like Knives Out comes out, that was kind of a tongue twister. Knives Out hits theaters, and it blows up, and like now they're doing another one. So yeah, it is possible. You just kind of have to, like again, like it's interesting where like you were talking about branding, and it's funny because it used to be that the star was the brand.
Yeah, we had superstars back in the day.
Yeah, like I mean, even in the like mid-late 90s, Will Smith became a brand. Like Independence Day, the year after that, Men in Black, it's like boom, Will Smith is gonna save the earth every summer.
Yeah.
And we kind of still have that, but like it's funny, like with Tom Cruise. Is Tom Cruise the brand or is Mission Impossible the brand? That one specifically gets kind of blurry for me.
Yeah, and he's making that new movie Maverick. So, are you going to see it because it's a Top Gun sequel, or are you going to see it because it's Tom Cruise?
I'm gonna go see it, and this is again like what I think is interesting about Tom Cruise. I'm gonna go see Maverick because it's people flying fucking F-15s.
Yeah,
like,
legitly.
I want to see that shit in IMAX.
No, well, it's not. Hold on. Jeff means literally, for those of you who don't know. Like, they put actors in F-15s and just... The actors took flying lessons to be able to fly these jets.
They are official pilots in the military.
Yes.
In order to... Like, they had to... Dude, they had to invent new camera technology because he wanted to have a camera in the cockpit, like close up on the actor's face while they flew. But if you know anything about cameras, like if you shake a camera really hard, the hard drive fucks up.
Oh, okay.
And therefore, like the shot is ruined. So they had to invent new camera like new casing to put the camera in because the G-force of the aircrafts flying around like basically broke the guts of the camera, and like they lost all the footage, so they had to like reinforce it and like all this stuff. But again, like that's Tom Cruise's thing, is like he wants real, like no CGI. Like I'm dude, I'm convinced we're gonna watch that like we're not gonna watch it but I'm convinced that man's gonna die on camera someday because he's insane and I love him for it. He is what Vin Diesel thinks he is.
Yeah,
those Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is Tom Cruise is still in like the 90s of movies as well, but he's figured out a way to modernize them.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know if we have that anymore. Where it's like, yes, obviously there are big actors, but like I was having this conversation with Gregory. At one point, it's one of my favorite conversations to have in talking about all of the Avengers.
When are we gonna get that guy on this show?
We need to. I mean, well, the only reason I would say probably not is that you would never understand him.
It's okay.
He just talks very.
He'd
very
be
fast.
like Boomhauer.
Exactly. Yeah.
And me and you would be like, "That's right, Boomhauer."
Yeah. But here's my question to you. Would you consider the actors who portray the Avengers to be movie stars? And what I mean by that is Robert Downey Robert Downey Jr. a movie star, or is Iron Man a movie star? Is Chris Evans, like, if Chris Evans makes a movie where he's not playing Captain America, does that movie make $1 billion the same way Captain America does? And on down the line, because like Scarlett Johansson has had that conversation come up, because like ever since she did that movie Lucy, which like was a crazy big blockbuster, it was like, oh, Scarlett Johansson is a movie star. And then she did Ghost in the Shell, and then there was that whole conversation of like, hey, it should have been an Asian person. And they were like, well, no, like, you can't cast an unknown Asian person because they're not a movie star. You have to get Scarlett Johansson because she's a movie star, and therefore people will go see it if she's in it. And then nobody fucking saw that movie.
I think this is a fantastic question that I may redact my answer in the future. But as of right now, I think that it's exactly what you said about Kristen Stewart with the Twilight series. I think that people see Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and they think that he is perfect for the role, but it's like nobody went to go watch. I'm exaggerating when I say nobody, but like it's not like everyone went to go watch Dr. Dolittle. It's not like everyone went to go watch. Did he do Lincoln Lawyer?
He did, there was a movie called The Juror.
That's yeah.
I think the one that he did with not Robert Redford. Fuck me. Keep talking.
Yeah, like
the other old guy.
And then same thing with Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is great. People love Chris Pratt's energy that he brings to the to the film and all things that he does. But nobody's freaking out about Chris Pratt's Alien movie that came out on Amazon. You know, like
people turned on him because of that movie.
Like freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is I think a big difference between a superstar and and these other actors who can be considered superstars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a superstar.
Oh yeah, he's a movie star.
He's a movie star.
He is a brand.
That guy has done so many movies that are not that great, but I'm going to say what Daniel Radcliffe said, because Daniel Radcliffe loves watching B movies and he loves watching silly movies. Yeah. And like directors will be like, hey, and that's probably part of the reason why he's in a lot of them as well. But Daniel Radcliffe, you know, directors will be like, hey, you know, do your homework on this film and go, and he'll be like, or he's like, oh, I want to try to portray the essence of this film. And Daniel Radcliffe will be like, I've never seen that film, never really even heard of it, don't know what you're talking about, sorry. So like but it's in regards, compare Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to Robert Downey Jr., to Chris Pratt, to these other guys that are really, really big. The Rock, what Daniel Radcliffe said is there isn't a movie that The Rock is in that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson didn't make better. Right? There's no movie.
Who said that?
Daniel Radcliffe said this.
Oh, okay.
There's no movie that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in that him being in it made the movie worse, but it's like, is what he said essentially.
Yeah.
So even in all
the movie might be bad, but if he's not in it, it's so much worse.
Right. The movie is only like edible because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's in it. But even like his whole point was, even in like the bad movies that he's in, like because he's been in Doom, and even The Rock has acknowledged, because when people were like, dude, you were in a horrible video game movie whenever like Rampage came out, his response was like, did you not see me in Doom? So like,
Doom was all right.
He knows. But he is the brand. He and I think that's the power that he has, is a lot of people. So when me and Jeff talk, I think Jeff, you've sort of converted me in a lot of ways. When we talk,
oh no.
Like when I go watch movies, I used to do this before, but now I do it way more. I really like. I really sympathize with the freaking actors and actresses in the film. Like I'm paying more attention to their journey. I'm paying more attention to like who they are and what their ambitions are, and it makes me like it's like, oh man, yeah, I know this film's not that great, but I really, really, really like this person, you know, and I really feel for this person. That's kind of what a superstar does, but to general audiences, and I think that's what Dwayne the Rock Johnson does. Is like it doesn't matter what film he's in, people will go see it just because he's in it, right? Like Jungle
Yeah.
Cruise, people are gonna go see Jungle Cruise because he's in it. People are gonna go see, they're gonna go
Jumanji.
I like Jumanji. I think I didn't want to say Jumanji because I thought Jumanji was actually pretty decent. I think the second one wasn't that great. People will go, but yeah, Jumanji. People will go see Jumanji because he's in it. People will go see
Hobbs and Shaw. Like, hey, this might not be the family. But
yeah, they went to go see it. All the Fast and Furious, you know, they went to go see it. So, long story short, no, yeah, I would have to say I don't think that the actors in Marvel are like superstars, because even,
I mean, they're superstars in the sense that like they are celebrities. Like they can't go outside without being mobbed.
Right. But they're not like
yeah, it's not like
in the days of 90s where like they're branded like what you said with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Because I think the only, I mean, and there's probably another one, but the one that really comes to mind is Dwayne the Rock Johnson for me right now in modern day movies. Because like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he did a lot of like, you know, silly movies and a lot of people love Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, like they don't care. People love, and that's the thing, is the stardom gets him that position. And do you think that, obviously, I mean, we can, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of this. I'm going to state this as kind of like a fact. Obviously, certain actors, like for a long time, race have had higher opportunities than others, right? Like for a good while in the movie industry. And I think that, do you think moving forward that stardom, that the movie starism can hinder, how do I say it? Maybe, like, do you think that movie starism, I'm just going to say it and I'm going to hope that you interpret it well. Do you think that movie star can hinder like that race or that culture? So if someone has that stardom, like, because like if we use The Rock for example, I don't know how to say this in a negative manner, because again, what Daniel Radcliffe said, there's no film that The Rock is in that hasn't been better because he's in it. You see in some of his movies that he'll do, you know, his Islander dance, and like other people will be part of it. They have more actors that are Islanders and stuff like that because he's there as well. So I think that in a way that's a positive, but can you do you see it in the opposite manner?
I think that's. I think the hindrance that you're talking about is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think anybody showing their culture or showcasing their culture and their traditions and their heritage is an amazing thing. Like, I personally don't have that. Like, I don't. I mean, like, I'm just fucking Southern. Southern white. Like, I don't have any kind of lineage where it's like, oh yeah, we're from Scotland, so therefore we do this, or we're from here, we do that. You know, there's not. It's just like, hey, Christmas is coming. Okay, whatever. Like my family just like doesn't care about holidays or anything. Like we just don't make big deals about stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I think so for example, like one of the things that jumped out to me when you mentioned The Rock doing the Haka, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa also does that. Like that's something that he is very important to him, is very ceremonial to him. And I remember when he was filming Aquaman, his wife. I'm trying to remember exactly how this went down, but like something happened like on his birthday where they got a bunch of people together to do a haka like on the lot for him that he got to join in on, and it was like a cool like birthday celebration for him. And of course everybody like had their cell phones and it was like happy birthday Jason, but it was like a big thing, and all the cell phone videos like went viral. And at the premiere, or at some red carpet event, there was an interviewer saying like, hey, like, so of course, you know, we all saw the video of you doing the haka and it was like really cool and blah, 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 blah. Like, would you do that right now? And his wife, like, you could cut the tension with a knife between like all three of them, where it's like, because it's a thing of like, yeah, dude, like I got these it's a ceremonial type thing. Like it's a very spiritual. It's a thing. You don't just whip it out on a red carpet, and that's not something that you just ask someone like, "Hey, will you do that?" It was like a dance, like dance for me, dude, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think like when you have a moment like that, that's when it's like, oh man, like if we are putting our heritage and our traditions out there, it's going to bring out a lot of ignorant people who don't know any better. And it's like, okay, well, but that's also good. It's one of those things
it teaches people.
Exactly. Like I'll say something. I mean, this is not controversial in any way, but like I like being ignorant sometimes because I want to learn. Like I want to know what the proper things are. I don't like being ignorant, but I like.
You like
being
learning.
Educated.
Yeah, you like being...
Yeah, I like being educated on types of things. Like, same thing with, another... Now we're getting political, holy shit. But another thing that I find a difficult thing that is kind of seeping into our culture now is the notion of pronouns. And, dude, like, if you want to be called whatever you want to be called. Like, I'm not pointing at that, but what I'm saying is that there are sort of... there is a historical context of what gender is, and this whole notion of people getting angry because other people assume their genders. This notion of, did you just assume my gender? And people get very irate about it. I am very much a proponent of like, if I misgender you, in a way that's a good thing because now you can tell me and now I can change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I would rather know, and well, I don't know, like because again,
well, like okay, so
it's not my fucking business.
No. I get what you're saying. So like me, I'm gonna throw you a life raft real quick. The growing up biracial. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like people always want to know about my ethnicity, and like most people. Like with you, Jeff, like most people, they just look at you and no one really asks like, hey, what are you? Right. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I get asked all the time is like, what are you? Like you have curly hair, you got this big nose, but you not really a big nose. You got a wide nose and you got these wide features and you got these like thick lips, but your name's Mario. I'm like, well, it almost to the point where, like, I'm just like, I jokingly, because I've heard it so many times, like when someone asks, because they always ask, what are you? I always say human.
Wild.
Yeah, I always say, like, it's gotten to the point, like, for years. And I mean, like, I started this back when I was like 12 years old. I would just say human to people. And I still do. Like, people are like, what are you? I'm like, well, I'm human. And, we have our little laugh and stuff like that. But then I tell them, like, I'm black and Mexican. And this is, my dad's Mexican. And I'm actually, the reason I have my name is because it's a name that's been passed down. And I'm not the first Mario. I'm the Mario X. I'm not gonna say which Mario I am because I have multiple names. and my first and last name's already on the internet everywhere, and I don't want to give out my entire name, but my I have multiple names. I have more than just 2 names, plus a title. So it's like I explain that to people, and it's never bothered me explaining it to people. So like I get where you're coming from, where these pronouns and people get upset, like, oh well, you mispronounce. Well, it's like, well, you have to understand that most, like what you said, historically, you know, we're used to just there being 2 sexes, or there just being certain pronouns. Like we grow up, society has taught us this, and I learned that very early on as a kid, that like I'm different. Everyone else is one race, right? Or they look like one race. I'm the weirdo, and I knew that because it's like everyone in my family. Like if you stand me next to my brothers and sisters, I have 5 siblings. They're all black, and my mom's black. And then you stand me next to my dad's side of the family, they're all Mexican. And I'm like, I just stand out. I don't even fit in either crowd. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things where, I agree with you. Like you can't, if you feel misappropriated due to people's ignorance, you should be happy. You should be humble. Take that humility to educate someone. And I think movies and media are real important in our society because they do help teach everyday lessons to people. So whenever we do put someone else in that spot, if we have a black James Bond or a Latino James Bond, they could do something. Or let's say we have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as James Bond, and he does his what's it called, haka. He does a haka, and he and you know that, and it's like, well, you know, I'm sure that'll spark a controversy, like, oh, James Bond doing a haka, but you get what I'm saying. It teaches people learn more about it, and like that's the whole point of this, right? That's why people want to be represented. They want to see themselves on the screen, but it gets the word out. Like people learn about the struggles or the benefits or just how happy they are or the cool things that they get to experience, and people can ask them about it, and they can spark conversation, be like, oh, I never knew this. And it's like, yeah, I took it for granted. Growing up, I thought everyone fried their corn tortillas at home in oil. And then I married a white girl, and she was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that to the tortillas? And I'm like, you never did this before? Like, you take certain things for granted. And we all know in movies, you know, just like in, not just movies, in art, you know, every detail, some of the most like famous artists ever, what made their artwork so great is like the detail that they put in. And like looking outwards, looking at the broad picture, it's just one big picture. But you look in, you see every brushstroke, every little like thing that they put in that film, in that picture has a purpose. And you're like, oh my God. And like the same thing happens in films. Like every frame is looked at in a film. And whenever a film can portray even the smallest things, even just some dude frying his corn tortillas, that can be like, I do that at home too, right? Like imagine that. Imagine James Bond frying his corn tortillas. Like that would blow people's minds.
or like James Bond cracking open a beer.
Right?
He's a martini person. What are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, that's why, like,
he's having a beer. Who gives a shit?
Daniel Craig said what really made him jump on board with the whole thing was he was reading the script and he saw that line in Casino Royale that said, the bartender was like, do you want it shaken or not stirred? And he's like, I don't give a damn. Like, he's like, I'm on board. Oh, I see what they're doing with this thing. Bex with the hydrate. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, another, I just want to throw this up there because it's something that makes me chuckle. Again, the notion of like, we're all trying to learn and be better educated about inclusivity and representation is Simu Liu, the actor who plays Shang-Chi, is Canadian. He lives in Toronto.
Really?
Like, his parents came from China and they took up residence in Toronto. And it's been kind of very sweet and endearing to see him in interviews when people refer to him as like an Asian American, because that's the vernacular that we're so used to.
Oh my
like
gosh,
Asian American,
dude!
And he has been so polite and good about it. And he's like, "Well, actually, I'm from Toronto." Like, because again, the thing is, he's like, "Yes, this movie is doing wonders for the Asian American community, but he's not an Asian American person. He's Asian Canadian, you know." And so it's just this interesting thing. Like, no, we're trying. But you still just have to, hey, that's cool. Like, now you know this about him, and now you know, and it's like,
no,
okay, cool.
Dude, that's the best part. Okay, so, oh my god, I'm talking about myself a lot in this episode, but, I mean, we're talking about ethnicity. That's my whole shtick. And I'm gonna get a little political here, so don't get scared. That's probably my favorite thing about the Black Lives Matter movement that happened. Whether you were for it or against it, my favorite thing is that people stopped calling black people African Americans. Because there are so many different, like, black people come from all over the world. And I'm not African. My mom is from Haiti. My mom's from, like, I'm technically, like, you could call me Caribbean.
Not in Africa.
Right. Yeah, sorry.
And dude, real quick thing. I will let you know. I literally made that mistake because I'm just dumb when it comes to geography.
Yeah, same.
I literally made that mistake last week. A customer asked me, because I'm sure you've answered this question, but it's like, where are your coffee table books? And you're always like, well, I mean, do you want art? Do you want photography? Like, we have big books everywhere. We don't just have a section for big, gigantic books. But she was looking at, she wanted a coffee table book about Haiti. And I pointed her to, like, okay, well, here's, like, our art section, but also here's the photography section. And I pointed her to the world photography column, to the shelf of Africa.
Yeah.
Like, I made that mistake. And it was so eye-opening because I kept pointing to that shelf, but she was looking at a completely different column. And, of course, in my head, I'm like, all right, lady, whatever. And I literally went back to the computer and I Googled where is Haiti, and I was like, oh my fucking god. But again, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you have to learn from this shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm so glad that happened, because I'm like, okay, God, I'm wow, did not, and it's that thing where it's like, how do you not know that? But guys, there's so many different types of people.
There's so many
that retain so much different information,
and it's like,
and I'm sorry.
No, but the thing is, like, I never get mad at anyone for that kind of stuff, because I understand. Like, I understand. As a kid, I understood. Like, it confused me. I would be like, I'm not African. Like, I don't know why people keep calling me African American. Because I remember growing up as a kid, I used to say like, oh well, I'm Haitian, or like I would say I'm black, and they're like, well, I would tell people I'm black, and they'd be like, oh, okay, you're African American. Okay, I see. That's cool. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not African. And like, even a lot of my black friends, they, at some point, you know, their family heritage was from Africa, but the generations have been in America so long that, like, they don't even know, you know, they don't even know where they're from. So they're just black. And there's this is something, I'm going off topic, so I'm sorry. This is something I heard someone say where, like, a lot of people, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna go in there. I'm just gonna leave you guys hanging. But yeah, I'll end it with this. I was gonna say this huge stupid monologue thing that I'll probably talk about some other episode when we're talking about race. I'll just say what Donald Glover said. The reason we're black, like you say black to people and you don't say like Asian or you don't say Native American or whatever, is because a long time ago there was this spooky thing called slavery, and you know we lost all our history and heritage. So that
Right.
that's Donald Glover quote from a TV show. I that's it. That's not me saying that, but I just love that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no.
I mean you're absolutely right. Like I myself have found myself just saying black
Yeah,
more often,
and
because that, and again, like
it's more
it just comes
appropriate.
down to like whenever I see black people talking about black people, they refer to themselves and other black people as black people.
Yes.
So like, and I'm like, okay, that's what they're saying. And again, like that's a razor's edge right there. It's like, well, they said it, so I can say it. No,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
not what I'm
everyone's
saying.
starting
I'm not
to
saying
think
that
of-
everything
yeah.
that they say I can say. But it's like, okay, cool. Like I would, again, like same thing with the pronoun thing. Like whatever you want to be referred to, let's go with that.
Yeah.
But,
And
Yeah.
like before the Black Lives Movement matter, I was working at GameStop, and I remember going out and getting drinks with some of my coworkers and my boss even. And I remember explaining this to them. I'm like, you're being more offensive calling me African American. Like
Yeah.
you should just like when you refer to black people, you should just say black people. And they did not believe me. They would not believe me. And it's one of those things like what I said earlier in the podcast is like they stopped looking at me as a black person and they started looking at me as a Mexican. Because I started speaking for the black community and they didn't believe me and they didn't want to take my word for it. So they were like, well, you're not, blah, blah, blah. And like they were alluding to the fact that I'm not fully black and this and that. And I remember like after the Black Lives Matter movement, we got drinks again. And I'm like, hey guys, remember like, 5 years ago when we had this conversation? It was like, they're like, yeah. Like, yeah, they're like, it's
That's awesome.
You take it with a grain of salt. And I think the unfortunate part is, so for those people who are like, who cares? Like, I don't give a damn, who's on screen. I understand that. Like, I sympathize with that, right? But at the same time, for the reasons that we're talking about that sound off topic, but are really like prevalent or relevant to what we're saying right now, having those on-screen figures does all of what we're talking about for the people that don't get to be represented, because you're representing that, you're educating other people that don't know, and it's not just to be like, yay, look at what you did. Like, what the hell? And this is why I think John Boyega was so upset. I'm gonna freaking blast on Star Wars again. This is why John Boyega was so upset at the sequel trilogy, because they were like, they used his race to get the numbers. Like, what did him being on screen do? And I get it. It's a universe. It's a galaxy far, far away. How are you going to put black culture in there? I get it, right? But they used him in the trailer holding the lightsaber. They made him seem like he was the main character. They made him seem, and he became less and less relevant in the films all the way up until the end, to where like it was like, dude, why are you even in this film anymore? Like the plot will still go on without you being in this film. And it really did feel like they used him, and he felt like he got used, right? And I was going to use a different example where they did a good job, and then I literally just lost it, so now I'm upset with myself.
Well, no, but I mean, it you're right, and this is the same thing that we were talking about with Daisy Ridley as well. It's like, and the comments that George Lucas's wife was saying about the sequel trilogy. It's like, wow, awesome! You wanted a female protagonist, and so you made one. But who is she? Where does she come from? And what is she about? Like, what's her? And it's like, oh yeah, like I didn't even really think about that with the Rey character. She's just sort of a female protagonist.
Yeah, that's it.
In a lot of ways, where it's like, oh, she's tormented because she's the protagonist, but like it's like, okay, sure, like there's some factual like information about her, but it's the equivalent of like a dossier that a CIA operative would be handed before a mission. Like, here's what you need to know about. But it's like, I don't know what her personality is. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't like what is a like if I sat down with Ray to have a conversation, I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
Like I can sit down and know what a conversation with Natasha Romanoff would be like. But if I sat down with Ray, I'd be like, what are we going to talk about? Like, yeah, it's a very boring conversation to me.
That's the thing. Yeah, they don't, they put them in these roles. They put, you know, women in these roles, and they're like, okay, can I have my cookie now? And the whole that's, we don't want that. We want the best of both worlds, and we can have it. Don't say that we can't have it. Don't say I want to have my cake and eat it too, because we can have it, you know? They can do it. There's no reason for them not to do it. I guess there is, you know, money. But
yeah.
How do you, Jeff, how do we fix the movie industry?
Well, first of all, we get into the movie industry.
Okay. All right. That's
then
all
we
right.
Start fixing stuff.
Then we start fixing stuff. How do we make it to where, gosh, it's so funny, right? Like, the movie industry needs money to run, but how do you make the movie industry not care about money?
I mean, they're always going to care about money. It's just, I just wish there were more people who took risks, who were like, okay, cool, let's, instead of putting all of our eggs in one basket, let's have multiple baskets going on. Like, again, like, Jason Blum is just a fucking genius, because he makes, first of all, he makes like 100 movies a year, it feels like. I'm gonna look him up real quick, because he always has like 1,000. You know, on IMDb they put in development.
Yeah.
Like he always has like 1,000 of those.
Jeez.
But that's the business model. Like, that's why he's a good business person, is that he makes like 100 movies a year. Some of them don't hit, but that's okay, because some of them do. And he's the type of guy who's like, hey, you up and coming director, or you, hey, filmmaker person, like, I want to give you a chance. And, you know, if it doesn't go, then it doesn't go, and like, that's the business. But if it does go, then hey, look at you, look, awesome, look at this thing that we made, and now you have a career. That's cool. And like, that's his attitude, and I'm like, holy shit, that's really cool.
Off topic. I remember what I was going to compare it to. So I was comparing John Boyega, someone, and Daisy Ridley, like how they couldn't really portray their things. Compare that to Harley Quinn. So in Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn is written by a dude, right? And like, poor portrayal of this character, but poor portrayal of women, because she's treated like merchandise, and she's treated like a gag, right? And then her moment of I'm a strong woman is whenever she's in the elevator scene, and she fights the putty by herself, and it's even then, like, that's her moment. But in the Suicide Squad, not Suicide. Okay, so in the Suicide Squad, yes, she has a great moment. But in Birds of Prey, she's written by a female, and she's way more relatable than. And I'm not saying girls need to be written by girls and yada yada, but what I'm saying is she's able to represent women way better. And because she represents women way better, I not only understand the character in a different light, in a better light, but I related to Harley Quinn way more in Birds of Prey than I did in freaking Suicide Squad. Because in Suicide Squad, she has these one-liners where she's like, well, we're bad guys.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. And like, but in Birds of Prey, she's going through a breakup, and she's like putting Cheese Whiz right in her mouth, and she's crying in emotion. 1 second she's over him, and the other second she wants to get back with him, and it's like, yeah, I've been through that. Whereas like in Suicide Squad, it's like the Joker is like trying to convince a guy to have sex with her and then kills him for
okay
it.
With it
yeah, he's like, hey, go flirt with this dude for me, and she's like, okay, like.
Well, but to the point that I think we're trying to make with this episode, it's not, and exactly like what you just said, it's not about like, oh, well, women should only be written by women because men can't do it right. Like, you look at the fact that, okay, David Ayer, who wrote Suicide Squad, white male. Kathy Yan, or let's leave race out of it because that's not part of this. He's male. Kathy Yan, who wrote the screenplay for Birds of Prey, is female. James Gunn, who wrote The Suicide Squad, is a male. Paul Dini, who created the character of Harley Quinn, is also male. So it's not necessarily, oh, well, if it's a woman character, it should be written by a woman. Like, it could be written by a man. It just needs to be written by the correct man.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it's like, it's not about who's writing or who's creating. It's like about is this the best representation of the character?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and like
same thing, like fucking Paul Feig. He's the guy who directed Bridesmaids and directed like a bunch of those like Melissa McCarthy movies, where it's like, yes, these are all like pro-female girl power movies that are directed by a man. And then you have like another person director who I really admire is a woman by the name of Michelle MacLaren, who directed a bunch of Game of Thrones episodes. And so it's like, yeah, just because like, oh, well, I'm a woman, I should be doing like all the girl power things. It's like, no, dude, I want to fucking do a show with dragons and swords and shit. You know? And like, just because I'm a man, I'm supposed to do the dragons and swords and shit. And he's like, no, I want to tell a story about women and their troubles and, you know, fighting through the struggle and blah, 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 blah.
Agreed.
Just both ways.
Like, you further the point, it's not about just putting the character on screen and saying, good job, you put the character on screen. It's exactly what you said, Jeff. It's representing the character correctly.
Yeah.
Because in Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn was not represented correctly, whether it was the character or whether it was for female. But in The Suicide Squad and in... I need to stop using Suicide Squad as a comparison. And in Birds of Prey, it was done. It was done great. I mean, I like talking about stuff like this, even though it can be a bit controversial. And I know some people can say otherwise, but I feel like at the end of the day, you should just want good stuff to come out. Like, you shouldn't get upset at who's playing it. You should be happy that we're getting new material to watch, new entertainment, and that it's going to be good entertainment, right? And I think the thing should go not just for the consumers, but for the people making the stuff too. You shouldn't be putting a black guy, or you shouldn't be putting a woman as the main character just to get kudo points. You should be worrying about making a good story and making the best story that you can and having the character that best represents that story that you're making. Yeah.
Like, if a woman gets cast as James Bond, it can't just be by the numbers, here's a James Bond movie that just happens to have Charlize Theron or Angelina Jolie or whoever. It has to inherently have to do with femininity and being a woman and what sets it has to deal with that.
Yeah,
like that's kind of the thing,
right?
I think. Which again, like kind of to your Superman point, you know, that we were talking about is like, yes, it's the exact A to Z Clark Kent story. It's just now it's a black guy instead of a white guy. And people would still be pissed off. And I think that's why you have to tailor it. You know, you have to tailor it to the Black experience to a certain degree, because it's like, well, dude, like people are going to be pissed off either way, so we might as well do what we want to do and tell the story that we feel like we need to tell,
Exactly,
as opposed to just catering to whatever they want. Because again, if you cater to what people want, you get
Rise of Skywalker, and you piss off everyone. Fuck, man.
Well, and same thing, and like another one that just it doesn't piss me off. But another one that I'm very curious about is, and this is not to do with anything that we're talking about, it's just something that I still find so fascinating, and we should be talking about it. But Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, everybody got so bent out of shape over what he looked like, to the point that the studio delayed the movie for 6 months. They dumped another $40 million into it to redesign him and redo all of the effects. And I'm like... Okay, all of you people that were complaining, did you go see the movie? Is it your favorite movie? Are you screaming from the rooftops that people need to go see this movie? Probably not, because it's a fucking movie and you're gamers. Like, you don't care. Why are we making such a big deal out of this? Same thing with the Super Mario thing. I know we
hold on
about that a little bit. If you hate Chris Pratt as Super Mario, then don't go see the movie. Do you really need a Super Mario animated movie? Probably not. Probably not.
So I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite here, but I don't know, man. Did you see that hedgehog?
No, it looked weird. But and again, I can only speak from my perspective. But like, I'm trying to imagine a gamer who is a hardcore Sonic fan, and the notion of like, would you rather have a good-looking Sonic movie or no Sonic movie at all? Like the idea that there is a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, is that something that you were clamoring for? That you were grinding your teeth, biting your nails, salivating at the mouth, going, I can't wait for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, they better get it right? Or were you just going on about your day going like, man, I can't wait for another Sonic game? I don't know.
It's funny.
That question. That was a very judgy question, and I feel bad.
That question has so much history and weight to it that I'm like, okay, do I push my glasses up to the rim of my nose and be like, well, actually, or do I just let Jeff have this because I want? Because you're right. You're absolutely right. I know the point that you're making, and I agree with it. It's so funny though, because Sonic's history is just Sonic's history is just so bad right now. Like, it's like Sonic had some good games, and then it was nothing but bad games after bad game 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 for years. And
he is to video games what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is to horror movies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then
I'll put that into I'll make that analogy for you.
Thank you. And then, like, I think I'm sure there's some hidden gems among those games, but I know, like, of those games, the most like popular and loved of the new games were done by an indie company who just basically remastered the old ones that everyone loved.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's like Sonic, huh? Like I that's weird though, cause we're talking about brands, okay? And I'm specifically talking about Sonic because I agree with you with the Chris Pratt thing. There's nothing I can say about the Super Mario thing, right? But Sonic is a brand, and I'm not. I want to state this before I go into this. I don't agree with. There I go. Let me say that again. I completely agree with Jeff's point. This isn't me trying to rebuttal Jeff. This is me starting a new topic. Sonic is a brand, right? Sonic is a logo. Like, you put up a silhouette of Sonic the Hedgehog and everyone knows what you're showing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why people were so upset and like at arms with that. But I'm also one of those people that believe it was a publicity stunt.
I've heard tell from, I don't know.
That's a lot of work.
I believe that too.
It's a lot. Like, you're telling me they were able to do that in 6 months? Every frame of the movie?
Oh, it's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible.
Like, those guys did not sleep. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Which, again, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the whole notion of, like, you know, take a risk. Like, what I was saying about, hey, don't do Black Superman just to test the waters for Static Shock. Like, just do Static Shock. Like, if they're doing a Sonic the Hedgehog movie and they're like, oh, like, what if, like, would it be such a crazy idea for them to think, what if people don't want a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, or like they see this and they're like, oh no, like that doesn't excite me, like, and then somebody else in the room is like, ooh, I have an idea. What if we make him look really shitty and we'll piss everybody off, and then we'll come back around and be like, oh, okay, well, we hear your complaints and we're gonna change it. I don't. It just seems so far fetched, though, dude.
No. Because no, they do that. That's 100% the truth, though. They are always going to get the general audience. Okay? That's what Star Wars did with the sequels. They're going for the general audience. They're not going for the Star Wars fans, because the Star Wars fans are going to show up anyways. But, like, for me, not to talk about Star Wars for a second, Sam Raimi, when he was... I know. Sam Raimi, when he was doing Spider-Man, he said that he decided to give Spider-Man the ability to shoot organic webs out of his wrists, right, because he didn't think that the general audience would believe that Peter Parker would make web shooters.
Yeah.
So much so that as a kid, it confused me when I watched Spider-Man, and then I watched, like, the cartoon. Like, I thought the cartoons that were a more accurate portrayal of Spider-Man were wrong.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, why does he have web shooters? That's wrong. So, yeah, no, like, the studios, it would not be beyond me if that was the meeting. Like, word for what you said, exactly.
Well, see, here's what I would have done. And I feel like this is just me doing a rant that I've already done, but I didn't have a friend who had a podcast back then, so I'm going to do the rant now.
There you go.
But what I would have done is I would have hopped on social media. I'd have released a press statement that said, okay, we hear your complaints. We realize that you guys have seen the trailer and you're pissed off about what he looks. I mean, I wouldn't have said pissed. You get my
yeah, you're paraphrasing.
But I mean, like, we get it. You're pissed off at the design. So here's what we're going to do. If we redesign Sonic, like if we push the movie and we dump in some more money to do the redesign, it's going to take this amount of money. Like, it's going to cost this much. So we're going to open a pre-order for opening weekend. And if enough of you pre-order your tickets that we then hit that budget, we'll go ahead and do the redesign. Because we have to know, it basically turn it into something like a Kickstarter.
Dude, don't do that.
Like,
don't do that, man. So I will tell you right now.
I mean, I wouldn't have done it on Kickstarter, but I would have told them, okay, like, you want to hop on Twitter and bitch about my movie? Put your money where your mouth is, motherfucker.
Oh, shit. You would have called out the fans.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like, dude, if you're telling me that it means so much to you that Sonic looks like shit, then prove to me that you're actually going to go see the movie and you're not just bitching on the internet to bitch on the internet. Like, if you really are a true fan and you care about what Sonic looks like in this movie to the point that you're going to go see it, give me your $10 right now and I'll do that for you. I will give you the Sonic that you actually want. Otherwise, you're just a fucking troll. Get the fuck out of my face. And I would have worded it a lot more professionally had I been in that position.
Of course. I just, like, See, I thought you were gonna go somewhere else. I was not expecting this. That's such a bold. That's a little too bold for me, Jeff. That's a little too.
That's why I don't have that job. It's also because I'm lazy and I don't like to work a lot. But
well, here's the thing. If they did that, right? I see a couple outcomes happening for that. The first one that I think would happen for sure is people would get mad even some more if, you know, that was said, because it's like, oh, well, how do I know you didn't just mess them up on purpose to get more of our money, right? Like, how do I know?
Yeah.
Like, or this is just a stunt to make sure that we go see the movie because we don't know how good the movie, right? Like, and here's another thing is, like, it's really hard to call out fans for their fandom, because
right.
Yeah, it's so hard to take the Star Wars fans, dude. Like, they're probably the most toxic, most just divisive group of fans ever. And one group genuinely believes that the other group are not fans, and vice versa, right? But dude, that's bold. And the other thing is, I see it working too. That's the problem. Like, I see a 50-50 split for this, because the other outcome is everyone's like, oh, wait. And then, like, you show them a sneak peek of the design, and then you make way more money than the studio was willing to give you. Like, you were going to spend 40 million because that was the budget, but then you raise over like 100 million. Yeah. And it's like, what do I do with that money, right? That's just pure profit.
Yeah, like the movie has already grossed before you're even done making it.
Yeah, like, cause there's so many Kickstarters. Like, there's a Avatar: The Last Airbender board game that got funded in like 24 hours, no time, because people want it to be represented correctly. They basically, what you were saying, and they said kind of the same way, like, hey, we want to make this board game and we want it to represent the game, or we want it to represent the TV show. And they said it how what you were saying, Jeff, in the professional manner, and it's like, help us do this. And
right, people
did it in a day. So, like, I totally see, like, your idea working as well. Yeah. I'm just scared of, like, okay, now we're in the Jeff verse. We're in the Jeff universe right now. So I'm scared of also, like, oh my gosh, then another studio sees that it works, and, like, they're just like, hey, can you imagine pre-ordering movies? Like, oh my gosh, they're like, oh, you know, if we hit this benchmark, then, you know, special effects will be in the film, and then we hit this benchmark, and we can get Halle Berry in the film, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, and that's essentially what Kickstarter does. And again, I'm not saying that, like, studios should approach a crowdfunding model because they don't need it. Like, they have plenty of money.
Of course.
I just think. I just really it's just something that I know is dumb. I know that there are trolls. I know that people bitch on the internet just to do that. Like, they don't actually care, but they just want to make you feel bad so that they feel better. Yeah. And it's just something that really fucking gets to me. Like, I don't, like, dude, I've watched so many people on YouTube that I yell at the screen. And it's like, first of all, like, part of me just takes a step back and goes, dude, why are you yelling at the fact that somebody plays a video game differently than you, or they have a different opinion than you? Like, that's one thing. But the other thing is, I have the wherewithal, and I know I'm getting on a soapbox here, but I have the wherewithal to know that is my reaction, my opinion. I don't need to ruin their day because of it. They didn't do anything to me. Did they elicit a reaction out of me? Yeah, sure. But they just put themselves out there. They didn't target me. This was not aimed at me specifically. This is just them talking out of their ass, or, like, having their own opinion or whatever, or doing a thing. Yeah. And I just think it just takes a very specific type of individual to leave a comment or to tweet at somebody who made a thing. And I just don't understand that. I don't understand.
No, I 100% agree.
That goes, hey, you're a piece of shit because you made the Ghostbusters all women, or you're a piece of shit because you turned this white person into a black person. And, like,
did we never talk about Ghostbusters?
Well, Because okay, they made a movie and I thought it was lame, but other people liked it, so let them fucking like it. And
Yeah.
and they moved on from that. They were like, okay, cool. We're gonna go back to the well. We're gonna make another Ghostbusters movie that ties into the original 2 movies, and we're going with that now.
Yeah, good for them. And like, I feel the same things too, because I'll put out videos, and I'll give you an example of something that really like bothered me. I was playing a game, like Splitgate. It was a shooter game, and it was like the game mode was shotgun snipers, and I was using a shotgun, and I was just having fun. And I put up a clip of me having fun playing a game.
Did you tweet about this? About like when you're celebrating yourself, people dislike it, but when you're playing not so good, they like it.
Yeah, when I'm having fun, when I'm having a good time, and I'm enjoying myself, people will dislike my videos. But if I am miserable, if I'm upset, if there's something wrong with me in the video, I will get 100% likes. And but like, I was playing a game and I was using a shotgun. I was killing people with the shotgun. And I post the video of me killing people with the shotgun. And there are people that are like, I hate it when people use shotguns and shoddy snipers. And I'm like,
okay.
Okay. like, and then they have to point, or like, I'll put up another video of me. Like and here's the funny part. People don't, and we're completely off topic now. Like, we are 100% off topic. But people do not, they're so quick to judge. They're so ready to judge, right? I will put up videos of me being awesome at a game, and I'm clearly like exaggerating and boasting. And if you watch my content, you know that's just my personality. Like, that's part of like my stick is like, yeah, I like to play competitively. I don't mind losing. I lose a lot. So when I win, I make a big deal about winning. And people know that I'm not Nick Merckx. I'm not a pro gamer, and I don't make pro gaming content, right? The content is to be entertaining and to be enjoyable, and let's just have fun and relax and enjoy this stuff. So when people see my stuff and they see me like just cheering and having fun and making a big deal of getting like 3 kills in a row or something like that, they'll just be like, you're bad at this game. Like, they'll be like, you're bad, or like, look at you, and it's like, I'm playing a like rank competitive, like I'm ranking up with all these other people, and so it's like, it looks, I can see how they can misunderstand, like, oh, he's playing in a very competitive game, but he's trying to, but then I also see that people in the comment section will defend me. They'll be like, dude, he's just playing a game, or like, dude, he's just having fun. It's so silly. It's so, but yeah, I'd be lying if at first that didn't get to me, because it's like, you obviously misunderstand the content that I'm putting out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, dude, like it's like Adam Plays, the guy I told you about, who just fucks around in video games all the time and will spend 2 hours in Red Dead Redemption 2 just bumping into people.
Yeah.
And it's like, who cares? That's how he finds fun. And it, God, I feel so old. I turned 35 yesterday, by the way. So age
happy birthday!
Really...
Oh my gosh, dude!
Thanks, man. Age is becoming more apparent as time goes on. But it's like, change the fucking channel. Stop watching. You don't have to watch this. That's another thing. I love when people like when people bitch about stuff on YouTube. It's like, what did this cost you? Fucking nothing. YouTube is free.
Chad is saying happy birthday to you.
Ah, thanks, Ezio. But yeah, it just boggles my mind. Like, are people like, oh my god, like, I've watched so many of your videos for the past 4 years, and god, you still do the same stuff, and it pisses me off. And it's like, watch something else. My god, dude. What did this person take away from you? They didn't take your money. You took your time because you kept watching it. Like you have control over your faculties. Like, do something else. I just took. It hurts, Mario.
It does.
I hurt. I feel like I just took multiple shots of whiskey in my chest right now.
If it makes you feel any better, those naysayers who are trying to discredit the creator, whether it be a movie or anything, they just help the algorithm. Like, what's that saying? All press is good press.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they just help the algorithm. Unfortunately, it's in a negative way, and it can hurt people. I think. Gosh, I still can't get over Marie Kelly Tran's. Like,
yeah, like
Star Wars, and this is what I was worried about. I was worried, like, you put a new actor, they're putting their career at risk, because and for her, she was unknowingly put into this spot, but luckily it didn't hurt her career, but it hurt her position in the Star Wars movies. To the fact where it's like, Star Wars or Disney or whoever, Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, they were so worried about how the internet attacked her, and I don't know what happened. I'm blaming them, but for all I know, it could have been Marie Kelly Tran that was like, "Hey, I don't want a biggest role in the next film." Like, she could have personally asked them, right? I don't know. I'm going to assume that they gave her less of a role because...
Oh, they gave her less of a role because they didn't know what to do with her, dude.
Yeah.
Like and again, like, here's what people need to understand. This, again, it goes back to the Kristen Stewart thing of, like, I guess we have to explain what acting is to people. Like, when you sign on to... And this goes across the board. Like, this is for John Boyega, this is for Adam Driver, this is for Daisy Ridley. It's not just the sort of side characters. Like, this is for everybody, all of these new kids. When you sign up to be in Star Wars, you show up and you do what you're told because it's fucking Star Wars. Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher can do whatever the fuck they want because they're Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han fucking Solo. But if you're the new kid on the block, you show up on set and you read the lines the way that they're written. You do whatever the director tells you because you are just so lucky to be in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing if Quentin Tarantino calls. If Quentin Tarantino calls, you say yes. I don't need to read the script. I might be an extra. I don't like, it's Tarantino. What? I'm gonna tell Quentin Tarantino, like, oh, let me see the script first and we'll see. Like, no, you're gonna be in that movie. So, like, this is what pisses me off about this Kelly Marie Tran situation, which is years old, but it's... You got me fired up right now, dude.
I know. I was just thinking in my head that we got him to say it. We got Jeff to say it. Like, Jeff is in the mood right now because he said, because it's fucking Star Wars. Like, that's your catchphrase, dude. Not like, it's because it's fucking, and then you say the title of something. Like, I love when you do that.
Like, dude, like, fucking all the cameos in that movie. It's like what's his name? Simon Pegg from Shaun of the Dead. Like, he's basically like a day player. He's the guy who, like, does the portions.
Yeah.
Force Awakens, and it's like, yeah, he
Daniel
shows up
Craig was in the film.
Yeah, Daniel Craig being a fucking stormtrooper. Lin-Manuel Miranda writing the music that plays in the cantina for free.
For free.
He didn't get paid for that. Fucking, like, Bill Hader was the voice of BB-8. All he did was go into a recording studio and be like, I don't know, beep, bloop, blorp, badoop. I don't... He's happy? I don't know. You know, because... Yeah, J.J. Abrams just called you. What, are you going to say no?
Yeah, you're going to say no to Star Wars?
But that's the thing that is so fascinating to me, again, about how people reacted to Kelly Marie Tran. Not to the character, but to her as a person, as an actor.
Yeah.
They're like, you ruined Star Wars. And it's like, no, she didn't. Like, and it's like,
Shut up.
And I feel like that lawyer who's like, bless your heart. Like, you've seen those cable access commercials, but it's like, I adore you that you think that she had anything to do with what her character did or said in the movie. That's adorable. That's so adorable. Like, and I'm not trying to throw shade at her for, like, what she brings to the table, like in her given field, but it's like that's adorable that you think that she has any say in the matter,
right?
That she did anything.
Like that was it was all her. And the fact that they went as far as to do death
Star
threats.
Wars.
It's yeah. Okay, can you answer something for me? Since we're
maybe.
I realized something because we're talking about Kelly Marie Tran. It made me think of Raya and the Last Dragon, and then it also made me think of who's the girl that's in Crazy Rich Asians, Raya and the Last Dragons. Thank you, Awkwafina. I recently just learned people don't really like her. Why? I adore her. Does she do?
I mean,
does she do something?
I can see people. I mean, like people might not like her voice because it's too raspy. They might not like the way that she looks because she got big teeth. And who is this like funny girl from New York coming in and being in all my Disney stuff? And like because she also like has her own like TV show, which is kind of more slightly R-rated, and so it's like, oh, she's not family friendly, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Like, I mean, people.
Dude, fuck people.
Hate
then
everybody.
No, because I heard
everybody.
Yeah, no, fuck that. That pisses me off. Because I literally adore. Like,
we all hated Anne Hathaway for like a couple years for no reason.
I thought it was
a weird time.
I thought it was because she was really hard to work with.
No, people just didn't like her because she kept getting all the roles, and she was.
Oh, they were jealous. Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah. No, Anne Hathaway's great.
But yeah, sorry.
No, well, because I had a buddy. Like, I saw things on the internet. I heard Cosmonaut Marcus say something, and then a buddy of mine who is very much like, I love him, but he's very much. He says whatever the internet is saying at the time. Like, it's gotten to the point where I just don't even care what his opinion is because he's regurgitating the internet. And so whenever he was like, yeah, I saw the 10 Rings and, you know, it was good even though Awkwafina was in it. I was like, what's your problem with Awkwafina? Like, is this a thing? What is this? And his answer was, well, she's just kind of annoying. And I just stopped. Like, I didn't even further the conversation. I was like, oh, okay. Because I knew, just knowing him, he probably doesn't even understand why he doesn't like her. And I'm like, dude, fuck you, dude. Like, what? Cause the way her voice sounds? Cause the way, like, dude, shut up. Like, whatever. I know this sounds like I'm directing it at you, Jeff. I'm sorry. I'm just...
No, I'm just saying, like some people just have taste. Like, dude, there's a lot of people who don't like Zendaya as Mary Jane because she's not, like, perky. She's quirky. You know, like, she's kind of, like, introspective and awkward. And it's like, no, Mary Jane's supposed to be all, like, hey, tiger. Like, she's supposed to be kind of bawdy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just had a weird revelation. She is doing to Mary Jane what Andrew Garfield did to Peter Parker. Making him, like, slightly, like, awkward. Those performances are very similar in my mind.
I always
her
feel
as
like
Mary Jane and him as Peter Parker, kind of the same character.
I just feel like Mary Jane was written. Like, I don't know Mary Jane's character up until Zendaya played her. If that makes any sense. Like, Mary Jane, like, to me, Mary Jane was an archetype for Peter Parker. I could tell you, like, kind of what you were saying. If I sat down and I tried to imagine what a conversation with Mary Jane would be like, it would just be like catchphrases and hey, tiger, and I want to do my own thing. And, like, I even reading the comics with them being broken up and them getting back to, like, I cannot tell you. Mary Jane is like a plot device for Peter Parker for me. Like, I cannot, but
yeah.
I could not tell you. And I'm probably saying a very unpopular opinion because I know how sacred Mary Jane is to people, just like how Lois Lane is to Superman. But I feel like I was visually, I was like, oh, she's MJ? Whatever. Like, I really don't, like, I'm not really invested because I'm not really there for Mary Jane. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. That's my 2 piece.
People just don't like stuff. Like, I mean, dude, there's people who hate the MCU movies altogether. There's people who have never seen any of the MCU movies.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. You know,
I don't. On the topic of hate, like I don't think I'll ever understand those people. I don't understand how you could be so, I don't know, like not ignorant, but just so like steadfast in something without, because there's people that they have this belief, right? And I'm gonna tie this into what we've been talking about. Like they believe Daniel Craig or James Bond should be white and should be a dude.
Mm-hmm.
And anything other than that notion is wrong. Like people don't watch they don't watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they don't like Marvel. And it's like, but what is it that you're really like? Why? Like, what is it that's really keeping you in this stance? You know, like, like what? Why are you so steadfast to hate something you haven't even like experienced? I'll never understand those. I'll never understand those people.
They're not real. They don't exist.
And it's
but
like,
again, I know that they are real to an extent because they mean something to us. Like we watch them go through stuff and we have emotional responses. I get it.
Yeah, that's a given.
But they're not they're not real. Like, and dude, like Shang-Chi. Like I will always go back to that, dude. That movie was really effective for me, and I'm like, none of those people look like me.
I read something.
Like I'm older than all of them, and like that's fucking cool. That movie meant something to me. I don't give a fuck if it was like a bunch of Asian people. Who cares?
Well, here's the thing. Now you, when watching Shang-Chi, you understand how the rest of us feel growing up watching movies. Yeah. Like, I can't relate to any of these white people. I can't really relate to Luke Skywalker, but I don't care. Like, I love Star Wars. It's been portrayed by white people the entire time, but I love it. Right? Like, that's exactly what you're saying. That's how everyone else feels. And it's like, you can have, it doesn't fucking matter if their ethnicity is different than yours. You can still find a way to like it. You don't even have to find a way to like it. It can find a way to make you like it. No, I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Oh. There was I read something. I don't know the validity of it, so don't take it with a grain of salt. Or please take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I read that like when Kung Fu Panda came out, there was a huge debate in China as to why Western films portray their culture better than their own films.
Oh, interesting. I have not seen any of the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Oh, dude, I love Kung Fu Panda.
I know.
Yeah, like I know. I quote it like, so many times.
There are so many movies that like are great that I just haven't gotten around to.
Dude, Kung Fu Panda. That's like whenever we got to start watching movies together. We got to start doing your movie thing. That's something where I would be like, Jeff, you got to watch Kung Fu Panda.
What did I? Oh, there was a horror movie that I was like, you definitely need to check this out because it's like filmmaker stuff. Keep going. Oh, that was it. That
was it. I think the moral of the story for today is people hate stuff and they're stupid.
Yeah. the Dawn of the Dead remake. Because I was trying to think of like horror movies to watch with you, and obviously that's the reason I wanted you to have Evil Dead and Drag Me to Hell, because you're like a big OG Spider-Man trilogy fan. I was like, oh yeah, like Sam Raimi, like that would be a good gateway horror drug for Mario to get into. And then it occurred to me the Dawn of the Dead remake would be good too because of Zack Snyder, You can kind of like, it's like, okay, cool, here's like a horror movie, but it's also like, oh yeah, here's where Homeboy started out before he did things with people in capes and tights.
Speaking of directors, like at the beginning of the podcast, I thought I would get to this sooner, but I didn't. J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams films are like watching, they have no sense of time in them. And that's what bothers me. Like there is... so in the Star Trek films and in the Star Trek films, he does a better job at it. But in the Star Wars film, it's like his characters are always running from point A to point B. They're always out of breath, and they're always sometimes literally and sometimes metaphorically. And then it's like, okay, we have to travel across the galaxy, or we have to travel from we're here, but now we have to get to over here. And in other movies, you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is where we cut to the bad guy and we do the thing, and then or maybe while they're traveling there, we have a moment where the two characters interact. Oh no, we're already here. Oh, okay. Oh, it's still going. I cannot go use the restroom at this moment. Okay, J.J. Abrams, we're just going. Like he doesn't breathe when he makes his films. He doesn't. It's even like, because I'm even thinking of Star Trek, even the moments where like characters are walking, you're like, oh, okay, something's about to, and then boom, 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 a whole freaking space station blows up, and you're like, where did that come from? And then they meet freaking the Sherlock Holmes, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
They meet Benedict Cumberbatch, and he's talking for 2 seconds, and you're like, oh, there's gonna be a whole negotiation thing, and then freaking Chris Pine just starts punching him in the face, and you're like, okay, I get it. He's mad. Yeah. Like, and it's not just one punch. You know, that's usually what happens in Hollywood. One punch, I'm pissed off at you. You killed my mentor figure. No, it's like 5 punches, and then
he takes those punches like a champ, though.
He does,
because he's like, this doesn't hurt. Like,
and then they just cut to the next scene. They talk for 2 minutes, and then boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, just let me relax for 2 seconds, JJ.
Well, and what's I love that we're bringing this back around too, because like there's another example of recasting somebody as another character. Is like you get to that moment where he's like, John, or like whatever is like, John Swanson is not my real name. My name is Khan.
Oh yeah.
And then like the whole theater cheers, and anyone who hasn't seen Star Trek 2 is like, okay. I'm really happy for you guys because you're fanboys and stuff. But does anyone else notice that the stakes have not changed?
Yep.
Everything in the movie is exactly as it was before he said that. Also, when we get to the end of the movie, still the stakes are exactly the same.
It's so true. It's like,
that's not a reveal. It's not a plot twist. It doesn't do anything.
That's
it changes nothing.
Okay. That just made my day.
Okay. I am Khan. Okay.
You still killed a bunch of people, dude. I don't care what your name is. That's so true.
It's the Pete Davidson character from SNL.
It really is.
I am Khan. Okay.
Gosh, dude. I need to watch other J.J. Abrams stuff. What else did he do? He did Cloverfield and he did Lost.
Did you see Super 8?
Yes.
What'd you think of Super 8?
Which one?
It also, by the way, has that thing where people are mid-sentence and then there's a fucking explosion.
Wait. Which one's Super 8? I think I'm
It's like set in the 80s. It's like a bunch of kids who like want to make monster movies, and they're out making a monster movie, and they encounter an alien craft.
No, I've not seen Super 8. I was thinking of Chronicle.
Oh, okay. I think you might like Super 8. Super 8's my favorite of his films because it's very Spielberg influenced. Like it's absolutely The Goonies and E.T. And that sort of thing. But
I like that.
It's just like it's nice. It it is his. I think it's like the best distillation of everything that he does.
Okay, I'll have to check that out then. The yeah, no, that's all I got, dude. I, I'm glad we got to talk about this. I don't know. I think so. Next week, I think I'm gonna go watch that The Last Duel.
Oh, okay.
And then the week after that, Dune comes out.
Yeah, Dune is gonna. We're gonna have to do Dune, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's too big of a deal.
I mean, we don't have to. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it, my man.
No, I do, but
okay.
I was just realizing, like, oh yeah, I haven't really been paying attention to movies that come out until Eternals. Dude, it's like the next one that I'm like.
When does that come out? I want to see that.
That comes out like November 7th or something.
So like right after Dune?
Like early November. Yeah.
So, dude, I'm gonna be at the movies every
It's a
weekend.
busy end of the year, dude.
It really is, because I just saw what did I see before 007?
Venom.
Venom. I knew what I was getting into when I went to go watch that film, so I was able to enjoy it. Yeah, Eminem. Venom.
Does
Venom.
Eminem do the end credit song for this one too? Is it a different song?
Yeah, he does. It's a different song.
But I don't.
Yeah, we'll talk about Dune. Well, I don't know what we're gonna talk about for next week. I guess we'll think about it, unless you have something in mind. Yeah.
I don't have anything like news wise, like something that has come up that we could talk about.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not particular. Since we're gonna be talking about Dune, like next week can be about like anything.
Okay.
So
I'll try to come up with something. I'll look through the interwebs and.
Yeah, no worries. No stress about it either. Worst case scenario, if neither of us come up with something, then I'm pretty sure we'll BS our way through it.
Yeah.
But no, you have anything else you want to like say, rant about, or
one thing I just want to throw out because I thought about it because we were talking about The Rock. There is a movie called Fighting with My Family.
Yes,
the
seen
wrestling
that
movie about Paige.
Yeah.
Like, is that
Yeah.
And there's a scene where she meets The Rock, and I think this is just a perfect quote to kind of sum up my feelings on this whole notion of should we recast somebody as a woman or a person of color, or like should we just make our own thing and but she basically Paige, this up and coming wrestler, is talking to The Rock playing himself, and she's trying to get advice for how to get from where she is to where he is, because she wants to be as successful a wrestler as The Rock is. And at some point in the conversation, he says to her, "Stop worrying about being the next me. Be the first you."
Yeah.
Which is an extremely corny line, but I like it, and it's also that type of movie. I highly like. You said that you saw it, but I'm just saying to anybody who might listen, go watch Fighting with My Family. It's really cute and adorable, and it warms your heart.
It's a good time.
That is kind of something that I wish studios would do more, is stop worrying about who's going to be the next thing that we already did, and just make the first new thing for someone.
Yeah, I can't top that. So until next time, play nice.
So play nice.